really fun experience to see how this exercise went. It's really funny because everyone was at first really lost, and first everyone was trying to push for their own interest. Okay, that hey everyone, we just have one group missing that they still working on the agreement. But it was very funny to see that at first everyone was only defending their interest or their part interest, and then after a time, all of the groups were talking about joint interest, and also there were all of the groups talked about feelings, and I loved that at certain point all of the groups talked about having an apology between the parts involved, and also trying to see deeper into the conflict, like not only having the information that is on top and the really basic information, but trying to see deeper into what caused the conflict. And also a lot of the groups talked about like having an agreement to have non-violent communication, because they were like calling the names one another, and they were not like having a good communication between parts. So yeah, it was really nice to see like how everybody at the end also talked about the feelings of the parts and how can like they benefit. So I want to hear from you. What was your experience? There were 5 groups. I am going to go in order. So I am going to go first with the group of Santi, Sem, and Septimus. How did you go? Did you make an agreement?
Yes, I can lead and then I can give the word to the other part. But we have agreed to integrate the Mr. Gates that showed interest for the new product that Hacker has been developing, integrate him in the company, and lead the marketing and sales area of the company. That way, we solve the problem of letting our R&D go away, because it will come back to the company. We will be part of the company and try to solve the issues that have led to the conflict, defining the boundaries of work for R&D in the future, and basically that's the agreement that we've reached. I can give word to the other part.
Yeah, we are happy with the agreement because we our client actually is more aligned with. He never wanted to go out of the company, and what he actually wanted was to have a more active part in the research and development, which, well, he's happy with having letting start and letting the Mr. Gates take the other part that he's not that interested. I don't know if we want to, if Septi wants to talk.
No, you guys pretty much say like everything we discussed in the call. So I'll pass back to Juan.
One question to you guys. Did you talk about changing or restructuring the employment agreement?
We talked about defining the boundaries. Go ahead, Sam.
Exactly. We talked about having a predefined budget, and we didn't went very much into that part, but Santi was saying that it's important in order to work in the future.
Yes, it is an important option to rewrite the employment agreement to avoid future disputes, because maybe you can solve this dispute, but it arises again. So we can try to like avoid having the same dispute in the future, and also like including some of these things into the new agreement. Okay, we're going to go into the next group that was Griff, Sam, and YGG. Did you reach an agreement? And the question that I am going to make to you is, what were the feelings that you identified from each of the parts?
Yeah, I have some notes here that I'll read. We came to an agreement. Yeah, this was quite the process. It got very heated. There was a lot of name calling at the beginning. So that was one of the first things we came to, is we both parties had to agree to come to a level of professionalism and maturity, and no more name calling, and mutual respect. So I'll read what we have here. We offer an investment deal to Gates. Hacker requires that the team have a dedicated marketing and sales person. Hacker also requires a recognition of mistakes and attributions, that the business side was not properly executed, and that Hacker gets creative credit for the production of Power Screen. Hacker will have a research and development role from now on, and Hacker will engage with maturity and professionalism. Hacker will also receive an increase in royalties. And so, yeah, as for feelings, I can say it was quite heated. I think the bulk of this case is about feelings. Particularly, me and Tamara were representing Hacker, and we could see in the agreement there that he wasn't, the finances weren't his first goal. His first mission was to just have proper recognition for what he had created. So I think that was a really big part of it.
Yes, feelings are, I won't say always, but most of the times key to solving disputes, because as we saw in earlier sessions, when people don't feel recognized or feel that their feelings are being ignored, or they are being hurt, they tend to close or to react irrationally just to defend themselves. So I think that the position of Hacker, like, yes, sue me, that is just a position that he took because of defend, like trying to defend himself. But it was not like the most rational decision, because if we sue this case, it's gonna be very complex, and both of the parts have a good point in the argument, but there is also an employment agreement. So it's a complex case, but it shows how sometimes what we need to reach a better solution is just to communicate, and how sometimes, even though that the direct parts involved are not having the dialogue, maybe the two third parts that are professionally responsible can like make an agreement for when two parts are having communication issues. I want to know if Tam or Griff have to say something.
I grew up a lot during that call. I'll be honest. People kept dropping in, and I kept telling the star side of the story, and maybe I was being a little, emotional about it. And I learned to keep a calm head. I went to the balcony, and and so we could build the bridge, and yeah, that was my side. But no, I think we had to kind of rush it near the end. It was tough. We needed more time really to debate the finer points. But I think we can come around to a place where both parties can be like civil. I do worry about like the long-term success of staying together, and I feel like we might need to add like extra relationship counseling
of some sort, but we didn't get to that. We didn't really get to discuss it. Tam, did you have anything?
You included an apology? You included an apology in your agreement?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sorry, I missed. I had to restart, and I missed a little bit of that. Yeah, I thought it was an amazing exercise. What you said about including something into the new employment contract, we didn't get to either, but that's actually very, very smart to avoid future conflict.
Okay, I am going to go with Jose, my brother, with Libby and Matt. How did you go?
Hola, Juanca. Okay, I think we got to make an agreement. We decided to do a joint recommendation from both the lawyers to the client, in which they should appreciate the common ground and the fundamental thing that the products work and that have market fit and that they can continue to be successful. So we said they should not end the company. They should rewrite the rules. So even if if an employee works overtime after hours, that continues being an intellectual property of the company. So this case doesn't present again. But we also included an apology from Star to Hacker for not recognizing the power screen potentials in the beginning. And we offered Hacker at 25, or we think, both group of lawyers, we think that Hacker should get at 25% of the royalties. And yeah, I think that was it. I don't know if Livia and Mateo want to add something else.
I thought it was interesting by listening to everyone's cases how Jorge was so given at first that made us not want to push that much. It was like, oh yeah, that sounds great, actually. And then I'm thinking now, if there was more of a push, if that would have incentivized a more fair and like very thought out solution to come up.
Yeah, I agree with that. We were like puppies being pretending to be lawyers. So Jose said something, and we said, "Yeah, that sounds cool. We can go with that." So yeah, that's a really nice interaction we had there.
One question to you guys on the restraints on choice. Did you get to think what was going to be the most common criticism you may receive on the agreement?
I think we didn't actually get there, but thinking fast, I think maybe the easier criticism would be that we gave too much royalties to Hacker. Maybe 15% of 20% would have been enough, but yeah, we didn't really get to that far.
It is something that sometimes we miss, but it's very important to give solidity to our ideas, to have this to prepare a quick response to the most common criticism. Like, yes, if people tell you, hey, you gave too much, maybe you can say, okay, but he is my friend and I wanted to continue the relationship rather than losing a relationship with my friend just because of money. And that is a quick response that you can say to people when they tell you, hey, you made a bad agreement. And you say, no, the agreement wasn't just for money. I wanted to keep my relationship and keep my company. So yes, it's important also to prepare always like a quick response to a most common criticism. Okay, we're going to go to Jake, Jeff, and Get Digital. How did you go? How did you go? Jake, Jeff.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was I was waiting for Get Digital because he kind of worded it the best for our proposal ideas to Hacker.
I do have some notes. So we didn't maybe get quite as far along as some of the groups, but we have a couple potential options. One is to propose a buyout, and then admit that we didn't acknowledge the value of the product, but that our need to properly market existing products interfered with our ability to appreciate it. If we go forward together, that Hacker could have full creative control of development as long as our client Stanley could have full control of business operations, because that was the Hacker was sort of roadblocking some of the business operations, and just let him hack because that's what he loves. And then if we can't come to an agreement, then just let the venture capital buy out and give up control but get paid. But I don't think that's what Hacker wants.
Jake, yes.
Yeah, I guess our group, we were pretty neutral in our approach, maybe a little too neutral. But yeah, we weren't sure if they could continue in the same house or not. We were maybe a bit doubtful that the tensions, would be solved. But yeah, we thought, okay, if we can't live in the same house, then somebody might have to buy the other person out and go their separate ways. But we were trying to just get to the core needs, which like another group said was like the acknowledgement was so big. So like you said, Juan, maybe, it doesn't need to go as far as a lawsuit. Just sometimes people want to feel heard and acknowledged, and the communication wasn't there.
Yes, this shows that there is not one way to solve this conflict. A buyout is also like a possible exit to the conflict, and it's not bad. It's not really bad. But I want to ask on this this tool that we had what if I say no? What if the other part says no to that proposal? You're going to go to litigation or what? Because it's also really important always to ask ourselves, what if the other part says no?
Yeah, this was another thing we identified was, in this case, I don't think either party would want to go to litigation. Like, it's not such a crazy huge issue. It would be bad for both parties and very expensive.
Okay, and I am going with the last group, that is with Metaverde, Decentralized SDG, and Rafael. How did you guys go? Just to have this last group.
Yeah, I mean, we had a nice discussion just basically on the merits and the inherent justice issues at stake. Then we tried to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of both sides, and came to conclusion that each side was going to come in with thinking fully to their strengths, but I think then we tried to see some of the potential weaknesses that if it went to litigation or arbitration, that it creates sort of an uncertainty for either party. And to mitigate that uncertainty, we were looking then for common solutions, and we discussed at least what what could be shared, sort of like if you're thinking about a divorce, what then is the joint custody? Is it a Creative Commons license of the software that was developed? The parties can part ways more amicably, and the competition was only limited maybe to a year. So you make very clear in the settlement agreement as to what the sort of the terms of divorce are, what the sharing of that software could look like, only what was developed at that moment, sort of a shared use, and then maybe moving on. But this is a bit where this is at least my one view. Maybe other colleagues want to share their views. Thank you.
Yeah, it didn't seem like, in spite of being Star's attorney, reading through the employment agreement carefully, I think he should have had me draft it and not whatever fly-by-night guy he had do it. It doesn't say anything about intellectual property in the agreement, so it was really difficult for me to negotiate heavily for him. And what we did manage to come away with was that since my client is so incredibly unhappy with making a profit in software his first 4 years in business and thinks that he should be like mooning with it somehow, and thinks that somehow 2 products are enough in 4 years, that you can tell I'm a little prejudiced here, that I was going to talk with my client and convince him that he should be happy with having the rights to use the latest software that Hacker had developed. Like, we weren't even sure if it fell into the if it was even covered under the employment agreement, because it had to do with software controlling other devices or something. I don't have the exact wording in front of me. We don't even know if that's what the software is, but that I would convince my client to be happy with the right to use that software and point out that he'll be able to use it as part of a suite of software that he already has from Hacker, and that Hacker won't have the rights to the 2 pieces of software he already has, and that he should drop the non-compete and just walk away from it and stay friends and let Hacker hack. That's me trying to convince my client to do this. I mean, he's welcome to take it to court, but I don't think that his employment agreement is well drafted.
Well, if Rafael wants to say something, I want to say some finishing remarks on the exercise. And also, yes.
No, you're fine. Thank you.
Okay. No, I hope everyone has enjoyed this exercise. These role plays are really important into the formation and the training of mediators. And the idea of Gravitons is to be able to do this exact same work that we did today. Like, maybe if there are 2 people that are having a conflict and that they don't have a good communication between themselves, like, we as Gravitons representing them can like get into agreements and propose things to benefit the best of them all, and to like calm and keep to help people keep calm and building bridges to like make good decisions and good negotiations and foster the well-being of our community. So with that said, I want to thank you all for coming. I will be sending the POAPs by DM, and also I want to invite you all to the next week session that we are going to have Livia leading it and talking us a little bit about soft gov and of strong principles and why are they so important in the well-being of communities and for the endurance of common pool resources.